Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and it's 2 a.m. in LA right now, and Bandai just dropped the card list for two more of the starter decks that we're getting next month, the Shanks starter deck as well as the Buggy starter deck. So I do want to kind of go over this. Again, it's pretty late for me here in LA, so it's like 2 a.m. And also, I'm just seeing these cards for the first time, which means that there might be some interactions that I'm not thinking about, but generally speaking, I just kind of want to go over these cards, give my kind of first thoughts with it, and we'll go from there. So I will be making deck lists for all six of these star decks in the next couple weeks too, just once we get more of the card pools for it. I won't be doing that in this video, but again, we will have some in the future as well. And also my deck builder on Eggman Events doesn't have the cards as of recording, but it will in the next couple hours or so. So likely when you're watching this video, it will be updated with the new cards as well. But as of the first couple hours, it won't be on here too. So make sure to look out for that. But I'm excited to look over these. And then I guess I'll see you guys next week as well when we'll get the last two star decks. But we're going to start off with Shanks and look at this. So again, if you guys don't know what these star decks are, they are star decks that are reprinting old leaders and kind of old archetypes with 5 new support cards for each one of them. So for the Shanks one, we'll look at the 5 from here. We're going to start off with the Uta. So this is a 6-drop 4K, which is a little bit low stats, a 2K counter, and then if you have a character with 10K power or more, you can give this card in your hand -4 cost. So this becomes a 2-cost card, but a 4-cost it's still a 6 cost on the board. So kind of like a different way to play like the Sanji 2K blocker in purple. It's just based on power, which I think is really interesting. It's blocker and it has the film type, which is kind of important. So kind of like a good support card, just a good generic 2K. It doesn't have to be original power of 10K power or more, so you could just put a bunch of Dawn on something and then still get a blocker at the end of it. So I think that's kind of really handy. I don't know how it really relates to Shanks as a leader necessarily, and you kind of look at these cards, and from my first pass, I wasn't like super impressed with them for at least Shanks specifically, but at least this one and like the next super rare I think is actually pretty good. But other than that, I think just these two are kind of like the playable cards, but they're very interesting. So the other one is Shanks. So if your opponent has a character with 8K power base or more, you get to give this card in your hand -3 cost. So it doesn't matter, like it has to be a base cost of 8K. I don't think there's any way to give power to your opponent's cards right now, but even if there was, you wouldn't be able to do that. But on play, if your leader has the red hair pirates type or is Uta, your leader gains +2K power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So being able to use this to make our leader a 7K, which is great defensively, is pretty good, and aggressively as well. If you're playing against something that has a lot of bodies, right? Honestly, playing this on curve isn't terrible. I don't think it's like a bad thing to do. Also, let's say your opponent does have something with 8K power or more. What you can do is that you can play this for 6, you can play Uta then for 2, and then you'd still have 2 additional Dawn open for doing stuff. So for example, like a Divine, you can have one open for that, or like Red Hawk, which people kind of play. So I do think that's going to make it like easier for Shanks to be more of a control deck, which I've been really enjoying as a deck for Shanks in general. So I think that's really cool. So that's kind of the idea for this one. I think this one was like spoiled a little bit on a magazine promo. So this one I did see a little bit of, but I haven't really thought about it until we saw it here. So our last 3 cards, we've got Ben Beckman. You may trash 1 card from your hand on play. If your leader has the red hair pirates type KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4K base power or less. This seems like just a little bit like underperforming. I think it could have been like 5K or less, because you still have to discard a card and it has to be like the base power of it. So I'm not honestly too surprised or like impressed with this one. Like maybe there are some times where like you can play it on curve, but I think Lucky Roo is just still better than this card. So I'm not really impressed with it unless there's something that I'm missing. We have the 1-drop Monkey D. Luffy, which is a film type, which is kind of important for like a different deck, but activate main, you can rest one of your Dawn cards in this character, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1K power during this turn. So honestly, I'm not a big fan of this card either. I feel like I feel like it could have been a 2K. I feel like being able to like only give -1000 for 2, right? Like it's the same thing as like Monet, right? Monet, you pay 2 energy or 2 Dawn for, and then you're able to not only give something -1K, but you get to give 2 Dawn to something, right? So this just seems like a worse Monet. It does have some really good tags of Film, Supernovas, and Straw Hat Crew, But otherwise, I'm not like a super big fan of this one. It can maybe be played in a different deck, Uta, which we'll talk about in a minute, but not too surprised or impressed with this one. And then Yasop, and we've seen this ability printed for like 100 different cards. But activate main once per turn, give it to one Rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. It's just like the Red Hair Pirates retrained for it. There's not really a good reason to play this card, I feel like, either, right? Like there's just not I feel like other decks, like having Dawn ×1 to help activate your effects is really important. I don't feel like that's the case for this one, unless we just have like a Red Hair Pirates build and we want to use this as just a way, because it is really, you don't have to be restricted to having the like the Red Hair Pirates leader type, but it just seems like a little bit underwhelming as like a unique card for this one. So like the fact that like we got this from set 1, like literally look at this, like if we go here, it's literally set 1 Nami. It's the exact same card as a set 1 card. So not too impressed. There might be some ways to maybe make it work though, like it could be like you're playing a Red Hair Pirates on a different leader, but by and large, like these are some really interesting cards for Shanks, where I don't really feel they contribute to kind of the Red Hair Pirate stuff, right? Like the thing that this deck has a lot of issues with is consistency. The only Red Hair Pirates card that I think is worth running is this one, which is good, right? The fact that we have another card for the deck that's top end is good, but it is kind of just the top end deck. Ben Beckman, I feel like, is a little bit underwhelming, and Yasop, and then the rest which are just not Red Hair Pirate cards, which I think is interesting. So I do want to say that does also boost the Uta leader. So we do have 2 red ones. We've got the promo from I guess promo number 11. Technically, right, I don't want to be like that guy, but technically, like, it's pretty easy to play like a build with this with like Red Hair Pirates, because there's just so many vanilla Red Hair Pirates that you could just be kind of silly, and you can use it with all these effects. I don't recommend it, but you could do that if you want to. I think the one that's a little bit more interesting with this is the Uta from OP06. It's when attacking, may trash one film type character, or sorry, one film type card from your hand, give it to one of your opponent's characters, minus 2k power until the end of the turn, then add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as rested. So being able to use this effect to help you ramp is great. The fact that you can now ramp into a just a card here. I wish this was a film type. I understand why it's not, but I really wish it was. I think that would make the deck a lot better in that way. But the fact that we have Uta being a 6-drop 4K that's also film, that's a 2K that can really easy be played as a blocker, which is really nice. And this Luffy as well. It's just the fact, like this, I mean, like if we don't have any other film cards that are worth it, sure, right? Spending 2 Dawn to give something minus 1K is okay, I guess, like if we need some like removal cards, but it does feel like a little bit lackluster. But I think you can definitely play like a version of the Uta where it's like a mix of film and Red Hair Pirates. The fact that the 1-drop searcher for Red Hair Pirates is a film card that's Uta means that you can very easily get there, and it's just like an interesting deck, right? And then like later in the game you can become a 7K pretty consistently and make it difficult for your opponent to really interact with you. I think that could be really strong while still making your 9-drop 10K bodies relevant on board. So we'll see if that's an actual deck or not. But if I'm being super honest, I'm a little bit more interested in testing this with Uta than I am with like the red Shanks leader, because I don't feel like you really got anything. Like you definitely play out this card and you see if it's any good, and we'll see together. I think it is kind of good to make yourself a 7K. There's so many different cards that are making our leaders 7Ks, I think, with these star decks, that it seems like it's going to be somewhat viable. So there it is. A little bit, I'd say, like underwhelming is like maybe if you're a Shanks player specifically, but I do think there's some cool support cards with both these super rares. So there we go. And then we've got Buggy, and this is a really interesting mix of cards. If I'm going to be super honest, I haven't played a lot of Buggy personally, so I won't say that I'm the expert in this deck as is, but I also know that this deck isn't really doing anything right now. And the amount of support that we get from this is pretty strong. I think these cards are all by and large viable, right? It kind of reminds me of like the Dofi star deck, where every one of those cards are great, or even like the purple Luffy one. In the last kind of wave of these, Dofi and Purple Luffy were just known to be good because every card that you got from these, all the new cards, are all playable cards, right? And I think that that could be definitely the case for these, or at least above average compared to the other star decks that we've seen. So I do also want to note that you do get the Buggy promo. This I think was pretty easy. I actually didn't check the price of this before we started, but The fact that you get this promo is good because this is kind of a required card for this deck. I don't think as many decks are playing 3 and 4 cost cards that are as relevant compared to when Doflamingo was best deck in format. But the fact that this also lets you play a cross guild from your hand with a cost of 6 or less, I think is relevant in its own way. So real quick, I do want to mention too, just because Buggy does play by its own rules. Activate main, you can rest 5 of your Dawn cards, trash 1 card from your hand, play up to 1 cross guild type character card from your hand. So being able to kind of cheat out your Dawn is great. This is also not once per turn, so if you're at 10 Dawn, you can do it twice, and that can be great to kind of fill out the board. And kind of our boss monster is this 10 drop Buggy. So place up to 1 of your opponent's characters at the bottom of its owner's deck. Then if you do not have, if you, so you just get the bottom deck anything, right? And then if you do not have 5 characters with the cost of 5 or more, place this character at the bottom of its owner's deck. So kind of the game plan for this deck is that you want to make a wide board of 5 drops. If you do, you get to play this Buggy, remove anything on the board, and then you have a 10 drop 12k that your opponent's likely going to have a hard time removing, especially since you already have a wide board of your 5 costs or more. So that's kind of the idea and what you want to kind of establish for this. So we're just going to go down the line though. We have the Aandroidd first. So this is a 4 drop 5k, and you're going to notice a lot of these are 4 drops, but there is a reason for it. If you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, this character gains +1 cost, so it does count as a additional 5 costs if that is needed. And then on play, if your leader is Buggy, you get to draw 3 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. So I think like the biggest issue with Buggy as a leader right now is that you are so dependent on going first, because like you get your curve out a little bit better. And so with this, you will see that there's a lot of great 4 cost characters that this deck could use that you can then convert into some higher cost characters, or being able to convert into kind of our late game without them just kind of staying as 4 cost, which I think is really interesting. So we have Aandroidd. We also do have Buggy. So if you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, again, this character gains block room +1 cost, which is really good. It is a 2k. It's also a 1k power, so it is really susceptible for removal from red. But on opponent's turn, this character gets a +5k power boost, so it's just kidding. This is still a 4/6 blocker that becomes a 5/6 blocker, and obviously, like, the cost increase is really important for being able to, help your get your end game condition. But the fact that also means that a lot of decks are going to have a harder time removing these cards because they cost more on the field is really impactful as what it is. So then we just have our first super rare, which is Crocodile and Mihawk. And I do want to say this is a sick looking card. I really like just the design of this card, and just like when they make like these double character cards, they're usually pretty cool, and this is no exception to it. So on play, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand, and then play up to 1 cross guild character, type character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So the fact that this does let you draw cards is great. Again, any of these cards, all of these cards are cross guild, meaning that on 5 Dawn, you can just play them from your hand by discarding 1. So the fact that this card like draws us a card means we don't really care about it. It just means we get some free cycle, which is really good. But also we have this, I'm going to say, insane effect. If your cross guild type character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may trash 1 card from your hand instead. Like, this is like one of the best protection effects I've ever seen in this game, right? And it just helps you in a deck that just wants to go wide. I can like unironically like see that this deck might be a problem just because of how many cards we need to try to we just have like so many ways to go wide. A lot of our cards draw, and it looks kind of menacing. Like, honestly, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But all of these effects look like they work together very well, and it's going to be very easy for Buggy to be able to make a wide board of just great bodies as well. So our other super rare is a 4 cost Buggy as well. 4 drop 1k. 1k counter, and then activate main, you can trash 1 card from your hand and trash this character. If your leader is Buggy, play up to 1 cross guild type character with the cost of 6 or less from your hand. So this has a lot of synergy with a lot of your effects, so that does mean that you can do something where if you are on the even curve, you can play this card out and then upgrade it to a 6 cost, which is really great. It also means that you can play this off the Crocodile and Mihawk and then also upgrade it to a 6 cost. So for 5 Dawn, you're playing out an 8 cost as well as a 6 cost. You do have to be, a little bit minusing in your hand, but I do think that is less of a thing than I think in other decks, especially since we are a 5-life leader, we can be a little bit greedier with discarding cards from our hand, I feel like. So lastly, we have Moji, which is just another 2k. If you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, this gains blocker and +1 cost. And on KO, if your leader is Buggy and you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you get to draw 1 card. So honestly, we just have like a lot of functional 2ks that also just are able to convert into our, again, end game condition, which I think is just very, very strong for this deck in general. So really, I think amazing cards for this deck. I will say that Buggy, of the leaders that we got from this kind of 6 star decks, this was the deck that just never saw the amount of success that the other one. So obviously, I think this was the deck that obviously, if you needed to do well with, it needed the most amount of support. And so far, I feel like it does. It does have like a lot of support, and I'm kind of intimidated by how this deck can maybe function as well. So I do want to just kind of quickly look over some cross guild cards too. I will say we do not have these, as far as I know, printed in English, because this card is, I think, going to be insane in the deck. The fact that you can return this to your hand if you have 3 or more cross type guild characters. You can play a 5 cost from your hand, so it's kind of like another Buggy. The fact that you can play it off the Crocodile and Mihawk to play this, to bounce it back to your hand to upgrade to a 5 cost is great. So I think that's a great ability. Also, if we're looking at our 6 costs, we don't really have that many, but our best one is this Mihawk, which is just very good, right? It's a 6-drop 7k blocker that lets you draw 2 and trash 1, so it does +1 in card advantage. And the fact that, you know, you can jump into this from Buggy is really great. Either the 4 cost or the 7 cost one too. Both these are just really great effects. And so you're seeing that there's just a lot of ways to be able to put 2 bodies on board by just using our leader effect once. We do have the Buggy effect. We have the 7-drop Crocodile effect, right? So only lets you play a 5 or less from this, which means that you can still use the effect to play a Buggy to then upgrade it to a 6 cost. So if you want to play Crocodile and Mihawk during the same turn, you definitely still can with using this combo. It feels a little bit worse than just playing out the effect here with this one, but because I think this is still like the better one, but we do like the flexibility with it. So other than that, I don't have really much more to say. I think this is a pretty scary deck all of a sudden, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just overestimating the power of this, but this deck just has a lot of ways to put cards on the board, and I feel that that's kind of scary. So other than that, I think we're good for today. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this as well. Again, these cards will be in my deck builder as soon as possible, probably by the end of the day when this comes out. And I am looking forward to doing some deck building and seeing what you guys are thinking about this one as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.